Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to What's New in Pega Sales Automation 24/1. I'm Rebecca Miller, Senior Product Strategy Manager for CRM here at Pega, and I'm excited to be joined by Frank Martin, our Senior Director of Product Management for Sales Automation. Welcome, Frank.
Great to be here. Thanks, Rebecca.
So, Frank, in this video, we're going to take you through some of the key highlights in this release. And over the past year, we've seen so much innovation when it comes to generative AI and how it applies to the enterprise. We know that it's gaining traction across various business areas. And one of the main functions that's actually looking to invest in this technology is sales. So we're seeing that key drivers for these types of investments in sales include, the continuous need to improve seller productivity and effectiveness to accelerate sales cycles from end to end. And here at Pega, we're continuing to align our product investments with these drivers, striving to make every seller your best seller.
Yeah, that's right, Rebecca. So in 24/1, we continue to focus on delivering intelligent insights and optimizing productivity for not only sales reps, but sales managers and sales operations.
Yeah, and that's so important in today's environment when employee and customer expectations are changing so rapidly. So, Frank, let's dive into some of the key highlights of this release. Let's start with how we're enabling velocity into every single sales cycle with GenAI. Can you share more on this?
Yeah, let's start with two examples where we're using GenAI to inject more real-time guidance and insights into the sales process. One of them is our GenAI Coach, and the other one is Knowledge Buddy. Okay, so let me start with GenAI Coach. GenAI Coach is essentially a conversational assistant that provides sellers with insights and guidance on how to progress cases, right? So it combines best practices of your sales team with the organization with case data that provides recommendations on how to drive a case forward.
Okay, so how would this work with an opportunity?
Yeah, it's a great question. And actually, we're shipping with some opportunity capabilities out of the box in 24/1. I think opportunity is the best use case because it has specific stages and steps. There's also a lot of data around opportunities, like who are the contacts, what's the engagement, what are the products you're trying to sell. I also want to plug that we're using this internally, right? So our internal AEs are using this capability, this GenAI Coach, currently in our production system. There are really three parts, the way I see it, to this. One of them is the data, right? So what is the data on the opportunity that you want the GenAI Coach to be aware of, right? There's contacts, there's products, there's competitors, there's emails, meeting transcripts, and then there's the prompt, right? So the prompt is sort of where the thought leadership and best practices come into play. So your sales operations or your VP of sales can actually coach the teams to close more deals by helping author what is in that prompt, right? And so GenAI basically takes the data, the prompt, and then we have some default questions that we essentially ask the coach for every opportunity. And so once you deploy this, essentially all of your sales teams on all of their opportunities are getting these best practices of your VP of sales or your sales operations team, and it presents itself as a tab on an opportunity. And you click the tab, and you set up default questions that you want to guide the sales rep. So, for example, what do I need to progress this opportunity? Are there ways to accelerate this opportunity? What are the blockers or risks? How do I compete against this competitor? And GenAI will basically take all that data on the opportunity. It'll take that prompt that comes from your sales management, and we'll bring that all together to answer those questions and help guide that sales rep through the sales process. And then sales reps can ask their own questions too. Those are just sort of the default questions, but they can ask questions to the GenAI coach as far as how they should close that deal. And then managers can chime in and maybe look at risk deals for their sales team and get some advice or some insights as to why that deal's lagging.
This is awesome and such great examples of how Coach is really helping optimize every opportunity and reduce the risk for specific types of blockers that can happen in sales processes because we know that they're not linear. So you also mentioned Pega GenAI Knowledge Buddy. How is this also improving sales velocity?
Yeah, so Knowledge Buddy is really about content, right? And it's a great tool that instantly connects salespeople with the knowledge and content that they need to sell better, right? It's a similar conversational interface, right? But it eliminates searching across documentation, across knowledge articles, across your intranet. We use this again internally. We have a sales hub. We have Pega Academy content on our website, and we have a lot of knowledge articles and Pega Knowledge Management, right? All of that is consumed by our buddy. And now sales reps can just ask the buddy a question and get answers based on all that content. And so our customers can do that exact same thing. If you use Pega Knowledge, it's automatically consumed if you use Knowledge Buddy into the Knowledge Buddy. And then you can point it at your intranet, your SharePoint site, whatever external content you want it to consume. And then sales reps can just ask it a question. They can say, hey, show me a list of the case studies in the insurance industry, for example. And it'll go find all that information. It'll summarize it for you. It'll show you links to those articles so you can get to the content. So it's just a really great productivity booster because it eliminates all that time that salespeople spend searching for the relevant content. I also just want to plug that we have a buddy in App Studio too that will help our teams implement our product. So it actually uses our documentation and our Pega Academy course content to guide implementation teams through implementing the sales automation product.
This is great. So you're using a similar type of conversational interface and you're reducing the need to search across articles, PDFs, documentation. This is such a massive game changer for sellers to really have the information that they need at their fingertips. And Frank, this capability isn't just improving sellers' experiences. It can also be used across use cases in customer service for agents, or like you said, in the back office for implementing, as well as customers using self-service. So this next generation of knowledge is really equipping every sales rep with a powerful sidekick so they can really focus on the customer instead of having to search for information. So great
Absolutely.
overview, Frank. Okay, so how about meeting preparation? What are we doing in 24/1 to make that more seamless for sales teams?
Yeah. So just to plug back to 23, right? In 23.1, we had the post-meeting analysis capability, right? That helps sales reps prepare post-meeting with action items as well as summarizations of the meeting. The next kind of logical segue there is helping them prepare for meetings, right? And so if you think about a sales meeting for a sales team, whether it's B2B or B2C, there's a few key components, right? It's first of all, and probably most importantly, who am I meeting with, right? So we have an attendee section at the top of this meeting briefing that helps people get ready for the meeting. And it shows who you're meeting with at this organization. What's your relationship strength? What are recent engagements you've had with these people? What is their sentiment trend? Is it positive or negative? And are they key decision makers on the deal? And then we also have, using GenAI, we can surface talking points as well as prescriptive actions. So talking points can be, things that you can put into the agenda of the meeting. Just again, we're using GenAI to feed in all of that information about the people you're meeting with, the opportunities they're involved in, their recent engagements. And so we can make recommendations about things you might want to talk about with this customer. And then we can make prescriptive actions that you can actually take right there when you're preparing for the meeting. So for example, we can surface a suggested action that might say, hey, this person's sentiment is trending pretty negatively over the last week. You should probably get in front of that before you get in a meeting with this customer. Or, maybe there's a key decision maker that was added to the meeting and you don't have any relationship with them. We can detect that and say, hey, why don't you go look at the engagement or LinkedIn profile for this person because you don't have a relationship with them yet and they're a decision maker on this opportunity.
I love this theme of making sellers more effective and ensuring that they're really focused on the right thing at the right time. So, along with meetings, we know that sales teams spend a large amount of time managing emails. And in 2023, we made a lot of enhancements in Pega GenAI for generating email responses. How are we extending this in 2024?
Yeah. So email responses were 23. We're now extending that to email compose or crafting new emails, right? This is a really exciting feature where when you open Outlook, right, and you have our Outlook add-in open, when you're composing a new email, as soon as you add an email address into the to field on the email, we are actually going into sales automation, grabbing all the context about that person, right? What are your interactions with them? What company are they at? Which opportunities are they involved in? As well as allowing the salesperson to select what type of email they want to send. So there's a couple options. You can have GenAI templates, right? Which it might be an initial outreach email or a thank you email. Or you can have a custom where we just give you a text box to type what you want the email to be about, right? And so the sales rep can basically select one of those templates, or they can go and type what they want the email to be out, just one concise sentence, so it really has to be. And then they click generate, and it will take that guideline of either the template or the custom prompt. It will take all that information about that customer, and it will create a very well-written, contextually appropriate email for that customer or prospect. And then they get a draft of it that they can review. and then you can iterate on it, right? So if it's, you can say, oh, that's too long, make it shorter. It'll make it shorter. Or you can say, yeah, don't mention yesterday's meeting, and you can just continually refine it until it's the email that you want it to be. You click accept, it creates a draft. You give it one final review, change it if you want to change it, and send it to the customer. So essentially now automating not just replies, but authoring of brand new emails to customers and prospects.
Awesome. So, really streamlining communication and offering a head start. So, we also integrated digital messaging into sales automation. And can you talk more about how is enhanced in the 2024 release?
Yes, yeah. So we've been hearing this from customers for a long time, right? We've always had some chatbot capabilities and basic messaging platform level capabilities, but what we now have is essentially everything that's in customer service digital messaging functionality is now available in sales automation, right? So all the different messaging platforms, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, SMS, web chat, mobile chat, the routing capability, right? So you could have someone on your website looking at a product and needs help and they want to purchase it. We can route that to the right person that's available at their desktop, pop it up right on their screen as a salesperson, and they can initiate a live chat with that person, in real time. Or we can escalate from the chatbot, right? There might be a chatbot where someone's interacting, and then now we know we need to get a real person involved at this point and route that from the chatbot directly to a real person for a real live chat. So really exciting advancement with the messaging capabilities in sales automation this release.
So, Frank, we have covered a lot of great ground here, but there's a whole lot more to learn about what's new in Sales Automation 24.1, all of it being around that theme of making every seller your best seller. So, more information is available on pega.com and Pega Community. Thank you so much for a great conversation and sharing how we are making sellers more effective and efficient.
My pleasure. Thank you.